My wife smirked and said, "Just one drink." So I made sure that evening became her final night under my roof. Be me, 29 years old Blake. Living in Miami with my wife Victoria. Married for 5 years, thought everything was perfect. Working as marketing director, decent salary. That Tuesday morning changed everything. The email wasn't addressed to me. It was meant for someone named Tyler. Clipped flirtatious little note signed with winking emoji. Sent at 3:15 a.m. on a Tuesday. Subject line read, "Next time, no interruptions." That's how it started. Not with a confrontation. Not with lipstick on a collar or cliche perfume in the car. But with a misfired email that landed in our shared inbox. Instead of her work account, she must have been rushing. Or maybe she just didn't care anymore. Sat at the dining table that morning. Her coffee still steaming in front of her untouched chair. Reread it over and over until the words lost shape. Victoria had already left for the yoga studio. Her new 6 a.m. habit. The one she claimed cleared her head. Same studio that, according to her, had a broken phone policy. So she couldn't answer my calls if I rang. The one she came back from glowing. Always just a little too flushed. Her hair too perfect for a workout. Didn't go to work that day. Couldn't do it. Something had detonated in my chest. Felt like I was holding shrapnel under my ribs, waiting for it to move. Didn't call her. Didn't confront her. Opened a new document and copied the email. Searched her phone backups. Months ago, I'd quietly installed syncing software. For security? Or maybe that's what I told myself then. All I found was more smoke. Message thread with Tyler that had been deleted. But not from the cloud. Messages filled with little inside jokes I'd never heard. Photos she'd taken in our bed. Cropped tightly, carefully, but the headboard gave it away. Felt sick. Not just gut-twisting, mouth-drying nausea, but a deeper kind, like the world had turned plastic and brittle. Like everything I trusted was rotting at the edges. We'd been married 5 years. No kids, not yet. We were waiting, or so she said. Truth is, I would have had one the second we were financially stable. But she always pushed it back. Promotions, yoga retreats, just not the right time yet. All while she was sending photos to someone else from our sheets. That evening, I cooked dinner like usual. Pizza night, her favorite. She came home, dropped her yoga bag by the stairs. Kissed me on the cheek like nothing had happened. Like my soul hadn't been replaced by cold iron since sunrise. We ate. She chatted about her instructor. How he was tough on her form, but in a good way. I nodded. I even smiled. She laughed once and touched my hand. Had to excuse myself to the bathroom, so I wouldn't throw up on the table. Watched her all night. Studied her like a stranger in a skin suit. How had I missed it? The way she flinched when I walked into a room too quietly. The new passwords. The defensive tone every time I asked where she was. Later, we sat on the couch. Put on one of her favorite shows. Some mindless reality thing. She curled up next to me, her head on my shoulder. Didn't move, didn't blink. Stared at the screen while her phone buzzed gently. On the cushion beside her. She didn't check it. Not until she thought I dozed off. Then slow and careful, she lifted it. Saw the glow light up her face. Watch her thumbs move. Her breathing changed. Deeper, steady, focused. Leaned back just a little and whispered, "Tell him I said hi." She froze for 5 full seconds. Didn't move. Then she laughed. Short, sharp, breathy thing. "What are you talking about?" Stood, walked to the kitchen. Picked up the printed email I'd folded earlier. Tossed it onto her lap. Her face drained like someone had pulled the plug on her blood. Stared at the page, didn't say a word. That silence told me everything. She didn't look up, not right away. Her fingers clenched the paper, like she was trying to crush it into dust. But it didn't tear. Only sound in the room was the faint hum of the refrigerator, and the soft buzz of her phone still resting beside her thigh, lighting up one more time with another message. She didn't dare check it. Not now, not with me standing there, hands in my pockets waiting. Finally, she exhaled. One slow, deliberate breath through her nose. "So what, you've been spying on me now?" Her voice was low, careful, measured, like she was choosing which lie to lean into first. Didn't answer. Wasn't about to validate that with a response. Wasn't the one who crept through the dark behind someone's back. Didn't rewrite our vows in secret messages and apartment parking lots. She looked up then, eyes narrowed, lips tight. No remorse, not even fake shock. Just quiet fury that she'd been caught. That the mask she wore so well had cracked. And I had the nerve to be holding the broken pieces. "What do you want me to say?" she asked. Walked over and sat in the armchair across from her. Elbows on my knees, staring her down. Said nothing. Silence was sharper than yelling. She hated silence. Victoria scoffed, leaned back. "It didn't mean anything. He's not important." Still I said nothing. "He's not you," she added. That one landed like a slap, as if comparing a liar to a fool made it better, as if being not me was somehow a crime, worse than sneaking into another man's apartment. While I waited at home thinking she was doing stretches and poses, my voice when it finally came surprised even me. How long? She flinched, not from the words, but from the calmness. A few months, she muttered. My jaw tensed. She backtracked immediately. Okay, 5 months. So since before Christmas, the entire winter, all the way through spring, while we were booking flights for our anniversary trip, while I bought her that necklace, while she made me dinner on my birthday, and whispered that she loved me as I fell asleep. Nodded once, slowly. Was it just him? Her eyes flickered. The pause said everything. There were others, guessed out loud, not asking anymore. She didn't deny it. Instead, she stood and walked to the window, arms crossed, staring out, like the cars below had answers for her. Let her sit in it. Wanted her to feel the weight of everything she'd unraveled. This wasn't one mistake. This was erosion. Months of little betrayals wearing down what we had, until there was nothing but memory and hollow gestures. I was bored, she said suddenly. Like that explained anything. We got dull, you work all the time. You barely notice me anymore. Laughed once, short, bitter. You mean I trusted you? That made her whip around. Her mouth opened, some protest forming. But I held up a hand. No, don't. Don't make this about me. Don't twist this into something I did. I'm not twisting anything, she started. Voice rising. You cheated Victoria, I cut in. Quiet, sharp, final. Repeatedly. You looked me in the eye every day and chose to lie. Don't blame it on routine. Don't insult me with that. And for the first time, she looked unsure, like the truth had finally caught up to her. She sank onto the couch again, one hand on her temple. So now what? Stood up. Now what? Now I sleep in the guest room. Now I talk to a lawyer. Now I change the passwords and the locks. Now I start building a life that doesn't revolve around pretending my partner is someone she clearly never was. But I didn't say any of that yet. Just looked at her and said, "You'll find out in the morning." Then I walked out and closed the door behind me. Didn't sleep that night either. The guest room smelled like dust and old cardboard boxes. We never unpacked from our last move. Stacked in the corner. The bed creaked every time I shifted. But mostly, it was the silence that kept me awake. A different kind of silence now. Heavy, final. The kind that fills a house when a lie dies in it. She didn't come to the door. She didn't try to explain. Heard her in the master bedroom moving around softly, like I might forget she was there if she made herself quiet enough. That was her move. Vanish when it counted. At 7:45 a.m., the doorbell rang. She was still asleep or pretending. Was up already, dressed, sharp. Knew who it was before I opened the door. Derek, my friend since college. Stoic, measured, the only person I trusted enough to call the night before. He stepped in, took one look at my face, and just said, "You ready?" Nodded. We moved fast. The bags were already packed. One suitcase, one duffel, not everything, just what mattered. My documents, my laptop, a few clothes. Left the rest behind. Let her keep the furniture, the framed photos, the records we used to play on Sunday mornings. Let her live in the museum of what she'd ruined. Left a note. Not dramatic, just the facts. You made your choices, I'm making mine. By the time she came down, groggy and wrapped in one of my old hoodies, the front door was closing behind me. Didn't look back. We stayed with Derek that weekend. His spare room was cold, but it was mine. No perfume on the pillow. No hidden phone under the sheets. Just space and air and silence that didn't lie to me. Saturday afternoon she called. Didn't answer. She texted, "Can we talk?" Then again, more frantic. "This is our marriage. Don't do this. We can fix it." The nerve. Sunday night the mask finally cracked. She sent a message that just said, "You weren't perfect either." And there it was. The spiral, the desperate flailing of someone who never thought she'd get caught. Never thought I'd walk away. Her tone had shifted from remorse to accusation, like a light switch. Replied once, "I wasn't perfect, but I was faithful." That used to matter. She didn't text again. That same night, Derek and I sat in his kitchen. He didn't ask for details, just handed me a beer and said, "You're handling it better than I would." Wasn't, not really. Inside, I was a battlefield. Rage and grief and relief all warring for space. Kept replaying every moment she said she loved me. Every glance that lingered too long. Every weekend trip where she had a headache. Or was just tired. Started realizing how long she'd been gone from this marriage. Even before her body followed. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a slow erasure. And now I had to rebuild from whatever was left. Monday morning hit like a freight train. Woke to the pale blue-gray of dawn, leaking through unfamiliar blinds. My back sore from a mattress that wasn't mine. Forgotten to set an alarm, didn't need one. My body was running on memory now. Instinct, survival. No texts from Victoria, no missed calls, not yet. Showered in silence. Ate toast I barely tasted. Then I sat at Derek's kitchen table, scrolling through emails like everything wasn't collapsing in the background. Taken the day officially, but there were things I needed to handle. First on the list, our shared bank account. Logged in, and I just stared. $2,000. That's all that was left. Out of almost 12, Victoria had moved money quietly over the weekend. Transfers to an unfamiliar checking account. One I hadn't seen before. The names were masked, just numbers. But the dates were clear. Saturday morning, 8:23 a.m. 4 separate withdrawals. Wasn't surprised, but I was done playing passive. Called the bank, froze the account, then opened a new one under my name. Moved my paychecks, updated my card info, set new passwords. By the time she called, exactly 10:07 a.m. I was ready. Let it ring, then answered on speaker. "Hi," she said, a bit too breathless. "I didn't think you'd pick up." "You moved the money," I said calmly. A pause, then defensive. "It's our account. I didn't think you were coming back." "I wasn't," I replied. "You moved the money before you even asked me to talk?" "That's not fair. You think you get to talk about fairness?" The line went quiet. Could hear her breathing. She was probably pacing. Maybe still in that hoodie? The one she never deserved to wear. "I just needed time to figure things out," she said finally. I panicked. "You panicked, so you emptied our account?" "I was scared you'd leave me with nothing," she shot back. After everything, I actually laughed. Cold, sharp. "You left, you just didn't walk out the door." She sighed. "I didn't think you'd react like this." "Because you thought I'd be stupid enough to stay." That ended it. She hung up, and that was the moment I knew, really knew. It wasn't about guilt or regret. It was about control. She wasn't sorry I left. She was sorry she lost the upper hand. The performance of the good wife had ended. The moment I didn't fall for Act 2. The apology tour. That afternoon, I spoke to a lawyer, a friend of Derek's. Discreet, efficient, professional. Laid everything out. Timeline, evidence, messages. The lawyer barely blinked. Said, "You've got a strong case. Especially with those backups." We drafted the first petition that day. That night, I lay in bed again, staring at the ceiling. Phone off, door locked. Didn't miss her. That was the thing that haunted me most. Missed who I thought she was. But that person never existed. And now I was free to stop pretending she did. By Thursday, the story had started to leak. Not from me. Never from me. But people talk. Our mutual circles noticed. Victoria hadn't posted anything in days. And in her world, that was an emergency. Same woman who used to document every avocado toast and mimosa. Now vanished completely. And silence when it comes to someone like her says more than a confession ever could. Jessica texted me first. Jessica, 9:43 a.m. "Hey, I heard you guys are separated. Just checking if you're okay." Stared at the screen, thumb hovering. Jessica, her best friend. The one who had supposedly hosted Victoria that night. The same night Victoria was in an apartment with someone else. Could have called her out. Could have sent screenshots. Confronted both of them. Demanded honesty. But I didn't, just replied. "I'm fine. Just needed some space. Thanks for asking." Simple, controlled. Wasn't in this to win people over. Wasn't trying to expose her to the world. She could unravel herself. She already had the rope and the matches. But then came Friday. Was sitting on the front step of Derek's place, sipping coffee, watching the sky turn from silver to fire. When she pulled up, her car, the one we bought together 2 years ago. She didn't park in the driveway. Didn't even pull in fully. Just stopped awkwardly halfway. Engine still running. Door swinging open like some scene from a drama. She was directing in her head. She stepped out slowly, wearing sunglasses, even though the sun hadn't cleared the trees yet. "Hey," she said. Voice casual, like we hadn't burned our marriage to ash. Didn't stand, didn't offer a greeting. Waited. She shifted her weight, clearly uncomfortable. "Can we talk?" "No." "I just need a few minutes," she insisted. "Please." "No." Her jaw tightened. "Seriously? You had months to talk, Victoria. You picked everything but honesty." She walked closer. I stayed seated. Arms crossed. "I'm not here to beg," she said. Tone sharper now. "I'm here to clear the air." Looked up at her finally. "There's no air left. You poisoned all of it." Her hands clenched at her sides. "You're being dramatic." That pushed something in me. Stood slowly, set my mug down, took a step toward her. You lied to me every day for nearly half a year. You looked me in the face, said you loved me, while you were sneaking around like a teenager with a burner phone. I didn't plan for it to happen, she shouted suddenly. You stopped trying. You stopped making me feel wanted. You buried yourself in work, in projects. I was lonely. And your solution, I said, voice low, was to open your legs for someone else? Her eyes flashed, not with guilt, but with rage. You're disgusting, she snapped. No, I said calmly. I'm done. Turned, walked back toward the house. She didn't follow. She stood there in the driveway for a long moment, before finally muttering, You'll regret this. Paused in the doorway. Maybe, I said without turning. But I'll never regret leaving the person you became. And I shut the door behind me, breathed. Not relief, not yet. But for the first time in weeks, the weight had shifted. It was finally starting to lift. The weekend came fast. And with it a strange quiet, not the brutal silence of betrayal, but something deeper, like the sound of breathing after you've been underwater too long. The legal paperwork was in motion. The emotional landmines were starting to fade beneath the surface. And for the first time since I walked out of that house, I began to feel something dangerously close to peace. Then Sunday happened. It started with another message. This one not from Victoria, but from Tyler. Yes, Tyler, the man she'd been seeing. Or at least the one I'd caught her with. His number was unfamiliar, but his tone wasn't. Tyler, 10:12 a.m. Hey man, I know we don't know each other, but can we talk? Stared at the screen, mouth dry. Of all the absurd things I expected, this wasn't on the list. A minute passed, then another. Tyler, 10:14 a.m. I didn't know she was married, I swear. I didn't find out until last week. Didn't respond. Tyler, 10:15 a.m. She said you were separated. Said it was over. That you were just roommates waiting for the paperwork. I had no idea, man. I never would have gotten involved. Set the phone down, heart pounding. Not with jealousy, not even anger, but disbelief. This wasn't about him. It never had been. It was about the rot she covered up with excuses and manipulation. She lied to him too. Not surprising. But now it was spilling out of our marriage and into strangers' lives. People who didn't even ask to be a part of her twisted narrative. Didn't text back. What was there to say? An hour later, the flood started. Calls from her number, blocked. Messages, dozens. I can't believe you talked to him. You had no right to drag him into this. Now he thinks I'm some homewrecker. Why are you trying to ruin my life? I made one mistake. That last one made my blood boil. One mistake. That wasn't what Tyler thought. That wasn't what I knew. One mistake didn't span 5 months. Involved stolen money, deleted messages, entire parallel relationships. This wasn't a slip. It was a campaign. A project she curated behind my back. Finally responded. You told him we were separated? While we were still sleeping in the same bed? While I was planning our anniversary trip? You can lie to whoever you want, but don't expect me to clean up your mess. No reply, not immediately. Then 10 minutes later, you're so cold now, who even are you? Stared at that one for a while. It was projection, classic. She didn't recognize me anymore, because she never truly saw me to begin with. She only saw what I provided. The structure, the safety, the illusion of commitment. While she slipped off to entertain her boredom, later that night, Derek and I sat outside again. Quiet. The kind of quiet only old friends can share. You think she's going to make this hard? He asked. Didn't hesitate. She already is. He nodded, then said, You're doing the right thing. And for once, I didn't doubt it, because the truth had finally scorched everything it needed to. There was no going back, no fantasy left to cling to. Just a man, his name, his spine, and the long, clean road ahead. On Monday morning, I received a letter. Not an email, not a text. A physical letter delivered by courier. No return address, just my name written in that familiar looping script. I used to find charming, almost didn't open it. But curiosity has a cruel sense of timing. Inside was a single page, cream-colored, thick. Her handwriting was neat, rehearsed. The letter smelled faintly of the perfume she wore to our wedding. Blake, I've been thinking a lot, and I know nothing I say can undo what happened. But I still need to say it. I was wrong. Not just for what I did, but for how I tried to justify it. I blamed you because it was easier than admitting I was bored with myself. I thought if someone else saw me, wanted me, maybe I'd feel something again. But it was never about them. It was about how much of me I'd lost, and how I decided to make you pay for it. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything, but I'm sorry for what it's worth. Victoria, There was no signature, no flourish. Just that. Just the quiet confession of a woman who had run out of stories to tell herself, didn't know how to feel. Was it honest, maybe? Or maybe it was just another angle. One last attempt to make the ending feel mutual, to soften the narrative before it reached too many ears. But I folded it carefully and placed it in a drawer. Not out of sentiment, out of record keeping. I'd learned by now that keeping receipts wasn't paranoia. It was survival. Later that afternoon, the lawyer called. Her attorney's response just came through, he said. She's contesting the divorce. Paused. On what grounds? She's claiming emotional abandonment. Says she was isolated, neglected, and that the infidelity wasn't the cause. It was the symptom. Nearly laughed. Of course, the letter was a setup, not a confession, a legal chess move. An apology. She's trying to flip the script, I said flatly. Exactly. We'll respond with the documentation, but prepare yourself. It's going to get uglier before it gets better. Thanked him, hung up, sat in silence. This wasn't just a divorce. This was war now. And she wasn't interested in closure. She wanted control. If she couldn't have the marriage, she'd settle for the story. She'd claw and twist it until someone, anyone, bought her version. But she underestimated one thing. She taught me to stop trusting masks. And I had nothing left to lose. The subpoena came on a Wednesday, delivered to Derek's doorstep, by a man in a black windbreaker with a clipboard and a fake smile, signed without a word. Took the envelope and closed the door. Inside, a formal request for my communications from the past year. Emails, messages, work logs, anything she could use to spin her claim of emotional abandonment. She was going full scorched earth. No retreat, no shame. The audacity would have been laughable. If it weren't so coldly strategic. She wasn't even trying to win me back anymore. This wasn't about love. This was about damage control. About pride. Spent the next 3 days compiling my digital footprint. Sending files to my lawyer. Logging calls, screenshotting timelines. Everything meticulous, exact, dated. Every one of her lies cross-referenced by her own actions. My attorney called Friday evening. His tone was unreadable. I've seen a lot of tactics in my time, he said. But this is cold. She thinks if she burns everything down, she can step out clean. She's about to learn otherwise, I replied. That weekend, I got the second letter. This time it wasn't handwritten. It was typed. Neat margins, numbered paragraphs, citations. A statement prepared by her legal team. One that claimed I had been emotionally absent. Verbally critical, even controlling, that I undermined her self-worth by working too much. By refusing to support her emotionally and physically. That I shamed her for seeking affection elsewhere. Read it once, then again. My hands trembled. Not with fear, not with grief, but with fury. She was rewriting history like a screenplay, turning me into a ghost, a villain, a shadow lurking in our shared life, conveniently forgetting the couple's therapy. She skipped. The dinner dates she canceled. The hours I sat alone at our table while she was working late, forgetting the nights I ran her baths, bought flowers, wrote notes on mirrors, just to see her smile. All while she was messaging other men behind my back. Picked up my phone and typed one line. So, this is who you've decided to become. She didn't reply, but I knew she saw it. Her silence wasn't hesitation. It was confidence. She thought she'd buried me in her narrative. But I brought a shovel too, and I wasn't going to let her write my ending. The court date was set for early August. Until then, it was a cold war. No direct contact. Just silence padded by lawyers and loaded paperwork. Each side maneuvered, repositioned, braced for the collision. But beneath the legal language and controlled correspondence, something deeper was cracking. It was me, not breaking, not collapsing, but shifting, something in me, something long buried. Under years of compromise and careful silence, had started to wake up. It was small things at first, a laugh that didn't feel forced. Music played at a normal volume instead of a whisper. The way I stood a little straighter when I wasn't in her shadow. Noticed how often I used to filter myself. Like I'd been afraid to be too loud, too blunt, too much for her. Now I didn't shrink. One morning, I took Buddy on a long walk before sunrise. The neighborhood was asleep, soaked in that early blue quiet. That always made the world feel honest. And as I walked, memories came. Not just of her, but of who I used to be before all of this. Before my world was shaped around tiptoeing. There was a part of me that mourned. Not for Victoria, but for the version of myself that believed love was supposed to hurt a little. That version had needed her approval to feel like enough, had waited for her validation like scraps from a table. He was gone now, and in his place was someone who didn't flinch when she appeared, which she did. That Friday, She showed up again, uninvited. Bold as ever. Opened the door and there she was. Sunglasses, ponytail, coffee in hand, like she was just dropping by a friend's house. The same easy smirk she'd used when she used to lie about just one drink. "I thought we could talk without lawyers," she said. Didn't respond. She tilted her head, lowered her glasses. Just 10 minutes. So I let her in. She walked through Derek's house like she owned the floor. Sat on the couch like it was still hers. "I miss you," she said. The line hit the air like a false note in a familiar song. "I miss what we had." Stood. "What exactly do you think we had?" She blinked. "A life, stability, memories. We had history?" "No," I said. "I had stability. I made the memories. You had distractions?" She exhaled. "I made mistakes. But you destroyed trust. Not once, repeatedly. You lied, you gaslighted. And now you're trying to weaponize your own betrayal. Like it was something I caused." She went quiet, then softer. "I'm scared." That was the truth. That was the only real thing she'd said all week. Sat across from her, calm. "You should be, not because of what's happening legally, but because you looked at someone who loved you without conditions. And you decided that wasn't enough." Her eyes shimmered, but no tears fell. Victoria's tears had always been rehearsed. "I'm not coming back," I said finally. "Not now, not ever." And for the first time since this began, she didn't argue. She stood, adjusted her purse strap. "You'll be sorry," she said. But it lacked heat. "No," I replied. "You will." She didn't look back when she left. But I watched the door long after it clicked shut. Not with sadness, with peace. Because the next time I walked into a courtroom, I wouldn't be dragging the past with me. I'd be walking in as the man who finally remembered who he was. The courtroom was quiet, sterile, nothing like the storm it held inside. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Lawyers shuffled papers like weapons. And across the aisle sat Victoria, dressed in white like irony itself. Her expression was calm, maybe even bored, like the whole thing was beneath her. She wouldn't look at me. Didn't need her to. The judge reviewed the case with professional detachment. Infidelity, financial misconduct, emotional neglect. Her team had filed a counterclaim. But the evidence was there. Every document, every timestamp, every deleted message resurrected with precision. Her story frayed with every passing minute. Didn't testify with rage. Spoke clearly, factually. No embellishment, no theater, just truth laid bare. The truth was heavy enough. Victoria shifted uncomfortably during the playback of her own messages. When the screenshots were displayed. When her apartment receipts were mentioned. Her lawyer tried to pivot, to reframe, to suggest I was emotionally unavailable and unwilling to reconcile. But the courtroom wasn't built on spin. It was built on facts. And fact was, she broke the vow. Again and again and again. The judge's ruling came that same day. Uncontested divorce. Irreconcilable differences. Her claims of emotional abandonment dismissed. Due to lack of evidence. Kept the house, the car, custody of Buddy. She was ordered to return the missing funds, or face civil penalties. Her face didn't change when the verdict was read. She stood, gathered her purse, and finally, she looked at me. There was no apology in her eyes. No regret. Only a flicker of something I couldn't name. Maybe disbelief that she didn't win. Maybe realization that I had walked away and never looked back. We didn't speak. She walked out of the courtroom like it didn't matter. But I knew it did. Left last. Outside, the sky was blue. Open. Free. Derek was waiting at the curb. "Well?" he asked. Just nodded. "It's over." And it was not just the marriage, not just the trial, but the version of me that had once bent himself to fit someone else's chaos. That man was gone. What remained was someone rebuilt from the bones of betrayal. Stronger, quieter, clearer. Here's what I've learned. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. If your gut tightens every time they smile, listen. And if love starts to feel like debt, walk. Don't wait to be broken, because sometimes the greatest act of love is choosing yourself. And I chose peace.